Coming up on Mountain News this morning, we have an update on the story we first brought you last week about 30 malnourished dogs that were found in Estill County. And also, communities around the Commonwealth are doing their best to fundraise for breast cancer awareness.
Dedicated to Eastern and Southern Kentucky, this is WYMT Mountain News This Morning.
Good morning. It is 5:31 here on this Monday. It is October the 23rd, and we appreciate you joining us this morning. I'm Brandon Robinson. Let's start with some forecast news there this morning. We're seeing some foggy conditions down in Whitesburg, one of the warmer spots there in our region. Very few spots are in the 40s as you start the day. It is a very chilly start to the day out there. Clintwood is back online at 33. Jonesville's at 32. Irvin's at 34. And let me name off the places in the 40s because there's not many of them. Pikeville's at 40. I expect them to drop into the 30s here pretty soon. Jackson, Moorhead, Monticello, Harlan, Middlesboro. That's it. Everybody else for Pikeville there is in the 30s this morning. So you'll need a little extra coffee as you head out the door, starting your day off on this Monday. And of course, your planner, it's going to be a bit chilly. Some patchy fog, some patchy frost out there this morning. So be extra careful. Give yourself time to get those cars warmed up. And again, that 37 may be a little bit too high there. So again, use your own judgment. Bundle up this morning. You'll be able to shed those layers later today as we see those sunny skies and pretty much average temperatures a little bit later on. And that sunset at 6:46 you should get to see tonight. Back to news this morning. A Central Kentucky woman's worst nightmare came true just 2 months before her wedding day. Her fiance was killed by someone driving under the influence. Now, as Samantha Valentino shows us, she's working hard to keep her fiance's memory alive by helping others.
October 22nd, 2022 was supposed to be the best day of Cheyenne Combs' life. That's the day she and her fiance were going to get married. But just 2 months before the big day, Cheyenne went from planning a wedding to planning a funeral.
Jake was my fiance who passed away a little over a year ago in August. He was hit by a woman under the influence.
Now she's keeping Jake's memory alive by helping others Jake's way.
The very last thing that Jake was doing was trying to help others. He was cleaning the road to make sure that nobody else got hurt.
Jake's Way is a charity that helps families cover the funeral costs after sudden and accidental deaths like Jake's. Because Jake loved anything with an engine, they host an annual car and bike cruise-in.
Every penny that is raised here today is going to go towards families in surrounding communities that have lost somebody in a sudden and accidental death.
Combs says Jake was an all-around great person and always the best guy in every room. That's why she wants to make sure his light continues to shine.
Jake loved this community, and it's so nice to see that the community loved him back. And I think that today is a good representation of that.
In Georgetown, Samantha Valentino, WKYT.
For more ways you can find to support Jake's Way, you can head over to their Facebook page and you can find that link in this story on our website. Back here at home, a crash in Bell County left one man dead on Saturday. Just before 2:30 in the morning, Bell County Dispatch received a call about the crash in the Brownies Creek community. 26-year-old Wesley Miller of Miracle was pronounced dead at the scene. We are told the car went off the road and into an embankment and flipped over on its top. Bell County EMS, the Bell County Sheriff's Office, and Bell County Volunteer Fire Department responded to the scene. The Sheriff's Office is investigating the incident. An Eastern Kentucky family has agreed to give up dozens of dogs that officials say were malnourished and in need of help. The result is that the Estill County Animal Shelter is once again overwhelmed and at capacity. Phil Pennington spoke to the shelter director and shows us the animals that were rescued.
31 dogs all living in the same home, and all of them trying to survive on food that was thrown on the ground for them to eat.
It's heartbreaking. I feel that it was a fend for yourself. Like, we'll put the food out. If you get it, you get it. If you don't, you don't.
Rescue groups were being called in to help, and earlier this week we showed you these pictures of some dogs down to skin and bones. The remainder of the dogs were released late last week.
I think people will get a couple dogs, male, female, you know, not spay and neuter. They'll have puppies. Those puppies will have puppies. it gets out of hand.
It is not clear if these dog owners will face charges. It's still under investigation, but officials tell me that it's been very helpful that they did willingly give up all the animals, forfeiting every single one of these dogs so they can be nursed back to health and then made available for adoption. The dogs were in such poor health they can't eat regular dog food. Their stomachs just won't take it.
So we cannot just feed them dry food. We're having to feed them like canned pumpkin, canned food, canned puppy chow, yogurt.
Pause for the Cause took in the dogs that were in the worst shape, and they're calling on other rescue groups to help out. In Estill County, Phil Pendleton, WYMT Mountain News.
Some of the dogs will be fostered out, and the shelter director says they will assist with temporary placement. In election news, voters in Kentucky are running out of time to request a mail-in ballot. The deadline is at 11:59 p.m. Tuesday, October 24th. That is tomorrow. You can go to request a ballot at vote.ky.gov. Voters' ballots must be delivered to their county clerk by 6 p.m. on Election Day, which is Tuesday, November the 7th. Ballot drop boxes will also be available at all polling locations during in-person absentee voting days and hours. In health news, roughly 50,000 young children are taken to emergency rooms each year after taking medicine not meant for them. Norton Children's Hospital in Louisville alone treats hundreds of them each year for ingestion, with about 400 cases seen so far this year in 2023. Doctors say about half of those involve child-resistant packaging. Incidents include kids taking medicines, supplements, or edibles that they are not supposed to. This can cause serious injuries, overnight stays, and in extreme cases, death.
And a lot of it isn't because parents are giving it to these kids. They're just not aware of the correct way to store these items. So that's what this class is. It's education on how to store these items, the best places to put them, no matter where you live.
And speaking of that class she was talking about, the group will offer a Safe Kids, Safe Storage class virtually for the first time tonight. The hope is that it will educate families to help keep kids out of the emergency room. As you know, October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and Baptist Health Lexington is working to make sure community members are aware of the symptoms of the awful disease. Everyone in attendance at an outreach event this weekend had the opportunity to schedule a free mammogram, whether they were insured or not. Breast cancer nurse navigator Peggy Wheeler says the mammograms were paid for by a generous donation.
We want to make a difference in our community, regardless insured or uninsured. And we feel like this is a perfect setting to have it at this beautiful venue here. And hopefully we can make a difference.
Attendees also had access to an expert panel of doctors who answered any questions they had about breast cancer. Officials with the Centers for Disease Control say around 42,000 women in the U.S. lose their lives to breast cancer every year. On Sunday, people in Louisville walked to put a stop to that. The Louisville chapter of the American Cancer Society held their Making Strides event at Slugger Field. People showed up in their best pink outfits and 80s gear to raise money to fight the disease. One of the participants is a woman who was diagnosed with stage 2 breast cancer on her first mammogram. She says her treatment is going well, and she is glad to support those who are going through a similar struggle.
The date for mammogram, the age for mammograms have gone up from 45 to 40, which is a huge difference for early detection. So it's very inspiring and hopeful for me to be able to give back in a sense and educate people and uplift and see everybody coming together is a beautiful thing.
The event was able to raise more than $130,000 for the American Cancer Society. One man is using his restaurant as a chance to raise money for cancer research. Pumpkins were launched from trebuchets at Captain's Quarters for this year's Chunkin Pumpkins event in Louisville. One of the co-owners of the restaurant, Andrew Masterson, started it after his wife was diagnosed with breast cancer. So he teamed up with nonprofits Twisted Pink and Hope Scarves to make the fundraiser happen.
Well, I love it. It's not just supporting us, but it's supporting everybody with metastatic breast cancer. And each year it gets bigger and bigger, and this is our 9th, and I think we're going to top somewhere around $50,000 this year, so I'm super excited about that.
It's pretty awesome. Since they began, as he said, 9 years ago, they have gone through 4 of those devices. Each time they launch around 200 pumpkins into the Ohio River. Dozens of runners participated in the first Run for Rescue event in Whitesburg on Saturday. The Whitesburg Fire Department hosted the event, giving out T-shirts and first, second, and third place plaques to the winners. Chief Charles Colwell says they will use the money to help support their volunteer firefighters.
Well, we do this to raise money for some of the equipment that may not necessarily be approved by the state for our program, but we might want to buy anything that may make our job easier, or all of my awesome volunteers may want a T-shirt or a ball cap or something.
Colwell says they had more than 30 runners this year, and he hopes to see that number increase as the race continues in the future. The Kentucky Book Festival also took place on Saturday at Joseph Beth Booksellers in Lexington. More than 150 authors attended to share their work and meet avid readers. Kids were greeted with clowns and magicians, and some had the chance to take home a free book. Authors set up tables throughout the store showcasing their work to readers. One of those authors happened to be former Kentucky governor and Pike County native Paul Patton.
Well, I'm for education in all its aspects, and learning to read well causes people to want to read. The people that don't read well don't read. Education is important, reading is important.
Organizers hope that events like these will encourage folks of all ages to form a community of readers and encourage coming generations to grow a love for reading as well. Coming up, the Actors Union is going back to the table Tuesday as the 3-month-long strike continues. And dry and mild weather will be around for the next few days, but more rain chances could be on the way later this week. I'll track them out for you in about 3 minutes.